Hello everyone. In today's video, we dive into the latest article by Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, titled is Epstein's Unresolved Shadows: Elusive Masterminds, Alleged Mossad Ties, and Risks to Global Communities. Before we begin, let me introduce the author, Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, a Saudi businessman, academic, and thought leader. As an adjunct professor at the University of Arizona and advisor, American University of Beirut, Faculty of Food and Agricultural Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, founder of Golden Grass Inc. He brings a rare blend of vision, expertise, and real-world insight to every article he writes. Dr. Al-Rasheed is also a distinguished author. His upcoming book, Saudi Arabia: Transformation, Uncertainty, and Sustainability, explores the kingdom's evolving economic and social landscape amid global change, offering deep insights into development, resilience, and long-term sustainability. Let's begin.
All right, let's get right into it. Today we're diving into a story that, as you'll see, is about so much more than just one person. We're going to unpack the lingering questions around Jeffrey Epstein and explore how the source material frames his entire network as just one symptom of a much bigger and way more expensive global system.
And right from the jump, the source material hits us with this really powerful idea. Epstein wasn't some lone wolf. He was the public face of these elite networks that actually benefit from chaos. This concept, this invisible machine, is absolutely key to understanding everything else we're going to talk about.
So, this whole thing blew up again in 2026 when a massive trove of documents was released. But here's the thing. Instead of giving us clear answers, the source argues it just created more shadows, more unanswered questions. First, you just have to understand the sheer scale of this. The Epstein Files Transparency Act dropped over 3 million pages of documents. That's not a stack of paper. That's a literal mountain of information.
And it wasn't just documents. We're also talking 2,000 videos. Now, a lot of critics argue that dumping this much information all at once, while it might fulfill a legal requirement, actually makes it harder to find the truth. It just buries the really important questions about who his enablers were.
And maybe one of the biggest mysteries of all, the money. When he died, Epstein's estate was worth almost $600 million. I mean, where does a guy with no real obvious job get that kind of cash? It just doesn't add up.
And this slide here gives us a little peek behind that curtain. You see these companies like Financial Trust pulling in over $800 million from just a few super high-profile clients. But here's the key takeaway from the source. The full list is still a secret. And that leaves this huge question mark hanging over who else was really in this network.
Okay, so this brings us to what is, without a doubt, the most explosive and controversial part of the source material. These unverified claims that connect Epstein to foreign intelligence agencies. Now we have to be super clear here. The source presents two totally different narratives. On one side, you have these claims from an old FBI memo citing an informant who believed Epstein was a Mossad agent, along with some circumstantial stuff about his connections. On the other side, you have flat-out categorical denials from Israeli officials, and you have mainstream analysis calling it all an unsubstantiated conspiracy theory. The source presents both sides, but it doesn't confirm either one.
And this right here, this shows you the real-world impact of these kinds of claims. Whether they're true or not, they take hold. Pulling data from the source shows that almost half of Americans believe Epstein was tied up with foreign intelligence. And that's not just a number on a chart, right? That tells you something really profound about how much public trust in our institutions has just crumbled.
So, this collapse in trust, this whole web of power, it all brings us to the central argument of the source material. To really get what the Epstein story is about, we have to zoom way out from the man himself and look at the much, much larger system he was supposedly part of.
The source has a name for this system: disaster capitalism. And the core idea is, well, it's pretty chillingly simple. For a very small group of elites, global crises like war and instability aren't tragedies we need to solve. No, they're business opportunities. They're a way to make huge amounts of private profit.
So this is the crucial pivot. The source completely reframes the whole Epstein saga. It stops being just a story about crime and trafficking. Instead, it's presented as a window into a world where chaos itself is profitable. Think about that for a second.
So what does this disaster capitalism actually look like in the real world? Well, the source gives us some pretty stark examples, and it starts with recent U.S. foreign policy.
This table, wow, it is incredibly telling. Just look at what the source lays out here for the U.S. interventions in Iraq and Afghanistan. The costs are just staggering. Trillions of dollars. Over 1 million lives lost in Iraq. And for what? The outcomes were more instability and a return to how things were before. But all the while, defense firms and private contractors were making billions.
The grand total is a number that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. The source states that since 2001, U.S. war spending has hit $6.4 trillion. This, right here, is the engine of what it calls the permanent war economy.
And this isn't just history. The source argues we're seeing the exact same pattern play out today, pointing to the Gaza conflict. It highlights the absolute devastation on the ground, the economic collapse, the humanitarian crisis, and at the exact same time, it points to the U.S. military aid and arms sales that are a direct benefit to American defense companies.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. What is the actual price of a system like this? The source connects all these dots to show us the true, global consequences of it all.
And the damage is everywhere. We're talking about a spike in antisemitism fueled by the very conspiracy theories we looked at earlier. We're talking about massive refugee crises, increased terror risks, and just a profound loss of U.S. credibility around the world. These aren't just abstract ideas. These are the real-world costs.
And to really land the point, the source brings in this fascinating historical parallel, referencing the scholar Ibn Khaldun. His theory was that empires enter their final stage of decline when the elites become completely consumed by their own self-interest, eroding any sense of collective good. The source suggests we might be seeing a reflection of that very pattern today, and that is a truly sobering thought.
And so it all comes down to this one provocative question that the source puts right in front of all of us. When global chaos is a business model, who is it that ultimately pays the price?
Conclusion. As we conclude this discussion, we return to the vision expressed by Dr. Turki Faisal Al-Rasheed, a vision rooted in clarity, innovation, and a deep commitment to shaping a more stable and interconnected future. For the full article, you can find the complete details in the description below, and to learn more about the author, visit www.tfrasheed.org. If this video gave you insight or inspired your thinking, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more discussions like this. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay curious, and see you in the next video.